Yes, yeah, just to be clear, I mean, we're showing you an offset box, as we call it, but effectively these are pictures of US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. He has arrived in Riyadh, where he is set to meet with King Salman over the disappearance of Jamal Khashoggi amid heightened tensions between Saudi Arabia now and a number of Western powers. And, you know, I was in Bali at the IMF meetings, and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin said he clearly intends to attend the FII event, the so-called Davos in the Desert event that has become a locus of anger, effectively, for those who are concerned about the disappearance of this journalist. So as this crisis has escalated, the American administration has chosen now to send in Mike Pompeo, who I believe will then be heading on to Turkey after this meeting to try and bring some clarity in this situation and story.
Now, look, you're absolutely right. This FII, this so-called Davos of the desert, and I should hasten to add, the World Economic Forum say this is not an event of ours. So there is a clear delineation between what WEF does and Davos and this as well. As you rightly say, it's become a lightning rod for people to show whether they're still on board with the Saudi story or actually they need to take a temporary step back. And in many cases, I think we do believe it will be a temporary step back. I think you have actually initiated a very good conversation once again, of course, today, but by talking about longer-term issues like the Magnitsky Act as well, and I added into that, for my part, the NOPEC legislation as well. So there are multiple areas, including class action potentially, if ever Aramco got to a US listing as well. So there are many areas, Magnitsky, NOPEC, the class action around Aramco as well, many areas which are long-standing thorns and potential areas of seeds of discontent which could grow in accompanying of this Khashoggi story.
And what we've seen domestically, interestingly, around this is a bipartisan approach from senators who have sent a letter expressing their concern about what is happening in this story. So the issue, I mean, so often these international issues end up polarizing the Republicans who support Trump, the Republicans who don't support Trump, and the Democrats, of course, who would like to see a very clear outcome in the midterm elections. But on this particular issue, there does seem to be an element of unity, of bipartisan support. Hadley is in Riyadh for us, covering off this story. And Hadley, just bring us up to speed on the latest you're hearing. I know there's been a lot of speculation that we will get a statement now from the Saudi government suggesting that this was a rogue interrogation that went wrong.
Hey, good morning, guys. So you're just seeing live pictures there of U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo sitting with Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir. And of course, this is a government in Saudi Arabia that's been pretty silent over the last couple of weeks as these investigations have been going forward. They issued a statement over the weekend in appreciation, essentially, of the U.S. and other countries for allowing them to continue with this investigation before jumping to any conclusions. Of course, we've seen over the last 24 hours this story continuing to develop quite rapidly. And of course, President Trump yesterday really suggesting that rogue elements might be involved in the disappearance and potential death, of course, of Jamal Khashoggi. Now, I think it's going to be interesting over the next several hours to hear more from Saudi officials, as well as Mike Pompeo potentially, as to exactly what happened in the Istanbul consulate some 2 weeks ago. And of course, as you were just saying, this does have major implications, of course, for what's happening in the United States, particularly surrounding the midterms and the congressional support that we've seen for President Trump. President Trump really did tie the administration to the Saudis from day one. I mean, he made Saudi Arabia the first foreign trip of the presidency, and I think that's something that worked certainly for MBS in terms of his Saudi vision and really bringing on all of these international CEOs and gaining American support in the beginning. But of course, you know, always there are two sides to every story, and certainly with what's been happening over the last several days in particular regarding this controversy, with the moral outrage that we've continued to see from the international community and certainly from the CEOs who dropped out of the FII, the Davos in the Desert, that's expected still to take place just a few days from now. A lot of questions surrounding whether or not that moral outrage is going to continue with these global corporates, but also, of course, what's going to happen next in terms of the political ramifications of any deal or any explanation that we're going to see coming from Saudi Arabia later today. Guys. Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now, to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.